finally upon us. National holiday. Draft day. All the speculation gets finally put to rest. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I had got my ears lowered this morning. Got a little haircut. Feeling like a civilized human being again. Got my first experience with an IV, like a vitamins and minerals and just a performance enhancing IV drip this morning. So I'm on a new levels. Special occasions obviously call for special and desperate measures, and so we're here, man. We're ready to rock and roll. Talk about this stuff. Kind of a low key stream, really just answering some questions, whatever questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have. But I kind of just want to get a pulse of the nation. This is the first live stream actually in the new setup, so I'm not exactly sure how quickly the internet speed is going to be, but we're going to test that out today and learn it on the fly. But I'm Lando. Anybody that's joining us new here today with the Lando Show, it's draft day.
All right.
And the objective, as always, is to creatively convey the sports below the surface truth for fans like yourselves who deserve it. So just know that is why we're here, the bridge between diehard fans and mainstream media.
I am inevitable.
Where we at, man? How are we feeling? What are we thinking? Most likely Cowboys outcomes. I kind of unpacked that for you guys in real form so you could, see that in I guess unpack it in like a more palatable manner. Some people like seeing it in that form, but I don't know. I do want to run through some of the principles that I think are foundational for where the Cowboys' thought process is. Obviously, nobody can really sit here and predict exactly what's going to happen. There's too much movement, right? It's too inexact of a science, but we can at the very least walk through step by step the thought process. And so guys that are deeply invested into the love of football, guys that process the sport of football quickly. There's newer and newer, more modern ways to measure those types of things, but it's still the one trait that's the most important that we can't accurately measure. Okay, so it's the scouts, the coaches, the executives' job to really court these players, honestly. Let's call it what it is and figure out who they truly are and what makes them tick. That's the hardest thing to do, to figure out, but that's going to be paramount. Any player that's selected tonight by the Cowboys is going to pass the character, the IQ, and the instinct test first and foremost, right? We understand that. Now, secondly, the tea leaves and the breadcrumbs led us to the conclusion of either nickel safety or nickel corner, one of the two defensive back prototypes that can be, for lack of a better term, interchangeable, okay, positionless. That gives you the heads up, the checkmate against offenses who are trying to dictate matchups against you. If you can have a guy like, say, a Jalen Petrie, Nicky Manwari, players that the Cowboys nation are rightfully so very well versed and informed in this particular draft class here, say Caleb Downs, Dylan Thieneman, Keontae Scott, say Chris Johnson, even Traden Stukes, maybe to a degree AJ Halsey, Zakee Wheatley. Those types of skill sets where you have a versatile piece that allows for the defensive coordinator to not be checkmated by an offense who's trying to take advantage of that particular skill set. All right. So if you've got a guy that can cover but also fit the run at the same time, then in nature, as a defense, if all else is equal, then you're bulletproof, you're Teflon, or at least a little bit more so than you otherwise would have been. So that's kind of the things that we're looking at right there. Those are those two starting points for us. I think that I've listed it and called it, and I stand by it. Priority number one for the Cowboys, and I know that's going to sound crazy given most people would obviously mention the off-ball backer position, which is in more dire straits relative to the depth, but I'm going to explain in just a minute why I think that that's third on the list even still. And then despite being the weakest room from a depth and top-end talent standpoint of the three most important ones for the Cowboys today that we're all going to be focused on and watching: DB, D-line, and off-ball backer. I still think off-ball backer is the least of our concern. It should be, because it's the easiest one to solve in the veteran free agent market even still, or the trade market even, okay? A couple names that you guys all are very familiar with. That's why. Okay, now why is that more important than edge? Well, I wouldn't say that it's more important, but I would just say that because of the defensive coordinator's particular set of skills, his expertise, I think it's going to be favored slightly more so than that of the edge position, especially given now we know that the Cowboys are going to deploy a lot more five-man fronts, and so you're going to have a lot more one-on-one matchups, and you have such a level of dominance and depth on the interior with, say, Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark, Jonathan Bullard, uh, and I know I'm forgetting a couple of names, but then adding Rashawn Gary to the mix, the veteran run defense prowess that he's going to bring to the equation, and then whoever else they add or are looking to add potentially on the veteran market as well. I think that's another factor to consider there. But Christian Parker's particular expertise in the defensive back room or defensive back play, plus also where the league is currently headed. And that's the third thing that we're going to kind of focus on here as we just sort of set the table for this discussion, this pre-draft Q&A, is understanding the direction that the league is headed, right? So you always have to be, as a coach, you have to be looking for modernized and nuanced ways to give yourself a leg up. You have to stay with the times and ahead of the curve. You can't be playing catch up. And so you have to be forward thinking. And that's why we're seeing this new wave of young, innovative defensive coordinators that are kind of being, for, more or less held at a higher standard or viewed just from a completely different lens than they otherwise may have been. And it's because of that innovation. But like, you've got to be able to understand, okay, where is offense headed? Where is that trending? And I think Christian Parker has already proven to us that he has a pretty good understanding of that, right? What we have been unpacking here for a very long time now is things like offenses getting big again, right? 13, 12 personnel, 20, 21, 22 personnel, all those types of things where they condense the formation on you. They get bigger bodies out there and they try to play ball control or grow out of those condensed sets where you're having guys like there's multiple responsibilities in the play action game now because you've got to be quick to trigger and get downhill in the run game, but then also you got to turn around, flip your hips and go cover a tight end that you thought, is a 255, 60-pound guy that you thought was about to start mauling you. All of a sudden he's leaking out into the flat or he's, traveling up the seam and you've got to maintain that responsibility and go cover him. So there's all kinds of things that we've got to consider here, but those are some of them. Now I'm showing me that the chat is offline for whatever reason. Give me about 3 seconds here. Let me reset the studio and hopefully I can get you guys in here. Cause I was like, why am I not seeing anybody joining and commenting? That would make sense. So give me about 5 seconds here. Chat. Hello. Okay, there we go. Tactical hunting experience. Boy getting IVs to lock in for the people. Subscribe to this, man. Let's go. Hey, I need to talk to you about that, by the way, because knowing how like-minded we are about that, TJ. Just biohacking in general. I don't want to say I was skeptical, but I was questionable about the experience. And so finally I had some time this morning. Casey stayed home with Hooper so that I could do all the things that I needed to get done that I've been putting off. Like, for instance, haircut. On the way home from the haircut facility, from the barbershop, there's this IV lounge right there in Boyd. And it turned out to be well worth my while. So I'm excited to add that into the repertoire moving forward. And I can't wait to talk to you about it too, because I know you probably appreciate it if you haven't already experienced the same. I can see this, David. Yes, sir. We're good now. Restream tried to get us, but we're not going to let them hold us down. Can't keep a good man down, baby. So Connor says he wants to talk about the GP situation. And I'm totally more than happy to do that. So let's do it. He says, give me GP. I give you GP. So real quick, you know what? I'm going to do it for you this way, just because that's how much I love you. Here we go. Tell me if this answers your question. I can find it here. I'm gonna find it. Tell me if this answers your question right here. Obsessed with what Stephen Jones said about George Pickens and the Cowboys making the decision to make him play on the tag. First thing to consider is that we already had expected that to be the case anyways, just understanding who David Mulgeta is and how these negotiations go. Cowboys learned that the hard way last year, or at least the Cowboys fans did specifically. Now, first thing to consider, just in theory, right? This is negotiation 101. It actually kind of plays into the second point. If George Pickens went to David Mulgeta right now, because remember, David Mulgeta works for George Pickens, not the other way around. He still has a standard to obtain and to uphold for his future clientele, obviously. So taking a discount can be something that he says no to, in which case George Pickens, if he goes to David Mulgeta and says, hey, I don't want this to drag out. I like it here. I know you want to get the best deal possible. You want to reset the market for your clientele, but I don't want to wait. I don't want to be in this position. In theory, if he says that to David Mulgeta and says, hey, I prefer if you told the Joneses, I'll play, I don't care what the outside perspective is, right? I'll play $30 million APY over the next 4 years, get it done. Then David Mulgeta is either going to get it done and honor his client's wishes, or George Pickens is going to find a new agent. Okay, but here's what's not going to happen. George Pickens isn't going to sit out the entirety of the 2026 campaign. And now, yes, Todd Archer makes an astute point. He technically could sit out the first 10 games and still accrue, so play basically from week 10 on. That part right there, we got to understand. Does everybody understand that part? Why the 10 game thing is relevant, but also oddly specific. Are we all on the same page there? Let me know real quick before we continue. I'm happy to elaborate if I need to. I like the way you're thinking, Ethan, by the way, more so than that. And I don't hate anybody who thinks differently. I'm just saying I like Joey's point, flip GP right now and get a 1-2 for him. First of all, let's just say, okay, let's just forget compensation for right now. Like kind of what I said here at the bottom of your screen, intentionally getting worse to me just doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense for a Cowboys team that's already proven to us. I don't care what anybody in the chat thinks. I don't care what mainstream media thinks. I don't care what local sports media think. I don't care what I think. It doesn't matter what I think. What the Cowboys think, what they tell you, what we focus on here, the objective truth about the steps that they're taking, their standard order of operations in the last 18 months, let's call it, since Shotty has really been overseeing the operation. They're in a go for it mode, and even more so now than they were this time last year, because of the evidence now of what this offense looks like, not just with a Dak and a CD and an interior trio of powerful offensive linemen, once again, modernizing the game and understanding where defenses are, which is hybrid, multiple, fast, coverability. So offense now counters back once again with physicality, condense the formation, heavy personnel, right? Shotty understood that. He was early in that regard. CP understood that on the defensive side. Now, he was early on that there on that regard. Why? Rashawn Gary is important. Jonathan Bullard is important. Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams are important. It's building from the inside out now, as opposed to the outside in. The game has changed. Will Steele just texted me. He said, "What's good, Lando? What do you think?" And I texted him 2 days ago. Actually, I had a project collaboration that I wanted to join forces with him on, but I know he was busy setting up for the latest Around the Nation, which is a fantastic production right now. Shout out to Will Skywalker Steele and everything that he's doing over there. That's going to be a mainstay in the community. I already know. I don't know what I got to do to get myself on the show. Somebody tag Will Steele, be like, "Hey, what's Lando got to do to not be on the A, B, C, or D, or E team?" I'm episode 6 at best now. I got work to do, I guess. All right, I got to keep sticking and moving and proving myself over here to hop on the Around the Nation. But I'll be ready whenever he calls my name. My number gets called, I'll be ready to go. You don't question. Don't worry about that whatsoever. Okay, so hopefully we understand that to me, it makes sense. Understanding where the league is headed, But then the generalized philosophy of, okay, if the Cowboys were in the business of acquiring draft picks, which in this, we're going to always refer to as prospect projects. Okay, we way overvalue draft picks and we way overvalue our ability to identify quality players with those draft picks in the months of February, March, and April every single year. Okay, turn the calendar one extra month. So this time, let's say mid-May, and nobody has a passionate opinion outside of maybe the quarterback position about the prospect projects in the 2027 class. And even though we know a ton about it right now because it's headlined by, say, household names like Jeremiah Smith, who's been so for since his true freshman campaign, when a lot of people thought he would have been the first receiver taken off the board 2 years ago after his true freshman year. And then, of course, the last name Manning, right? When your uncles are Peyton and Eli, then everybody's going to know who you are. And that's just two of the, once again, very, very top heavy, not just in the quarterback room list of names that are going to come out. But point is teams, like Vach says, he's patented the term or the phrase, teams suck at drafting. Okay. Now, I'm hopefully going to take that a step further and patent the reason why that has been a patented term for Vach Lombardi. And it's the thing that we say here all the time. I've already said it once. We can't accurately measure what matters most. The most important trait is between the ears. We can't physically see it. It doesn't show up in the underwear Olympics at the NFL Combine. Okay, that's what the meetings are all about. That's when people say like the meeting rooms are the most important. That's the most grueling phase of the Combine for these athletes. And they're, over and over again getting grilled on, okay, what's your mom like? What's your dad like? How many sports did you play growing up? How are you wired? What are your favorite foods? Do you prioritize sleep? How much does football matter to you? Those types of things, right? That's the most important information, but it's the hardest to gather an accurate synopsis of, if that makes sense. Right? We're part and parcel, piecing together information from countless different sources. Your Pop Warner coach, your middle school coach, your varsity coach, your college coach, your mom, your dad, your sister, your uncle, your auntie, everybody. We have to ask questions. We have to poll the nation, the people that are responsible for you getting to this stage, to this point. We got to figure things out about you. Speed, athleticism, power, all those types of things, arm talent, whatever, verticality, Suave D with the 5 USD. I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being here. All that stuff doesn't matter if the athlete doesn't love the sport enough to be prepared in the film room from Monday to Saturday. To be in the weight room, getting after it, making his body better, priming his body for war, for action from Monday through Saturday, sleeping accordingly, eating accordingly. We're not reaching. Sonny Styles ain't the ceiling that most people think that he's going to reach if he's not checking all those other boxes that nobody likes to talk about, that most people don't understand enough to talk about it. They haven't lived that athlete lifestyle the way that I'm proud to say that I have here. It's given me a newfound perspective on everything. I don't want to get too far off topic there. So, okay, once again, Ethan, why am I intentionally getting worse? Why I don't want to trade George Pickens. Why do I have to? I still hold all the leverage if I'm the Cowboys. It don't matter what Stephen Jones said. Right? So I'm not mad at you. This is a common question that I'm getting, and that's why I'm passionate about it, because I'm prepared to speak on it. Why are the Cowboys intentionally getting worse? Star guarding with the 20. Let's go, man. See, I knew that IV was going to come in clutch because it's a big day. Everybody's excited, and y'all are in here supporting this movement. I can't thank you guys enough, man. Seriously. So, okay, I'll get to that question in just a second, Star. Thank you. Why am I intentionally getting worse when the Cowboys already told us, like, if they were going to start adding assets, right? So this gets back to the point of overvaluing our ability to assess prospect projects. If they were going to hit the reset button, remember the clock started back just before the 2024 campaign when they played the Browns in week 1. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb get their massive 4-year contract extensions in the same week, like the week leading up to game number 1, right? That kicked it off right there. Boom.
Y'all don't really want it like that.
It's like that. And then, so 2025 happens, like that whole offseason. Cowboys are 3-5-1. People are calling for Matt Eberflus after week 3. So we're 5 weeks past the point of where most people said, get him out of here, because it was that bad, that quick. Okay, it's 3-5-1. We're staring the trade deadline in the face, and everybody's telling me I'm the idiot for still lobbying for Jeff Simmons, Quentin Williams, or Max Crosby. Lando, the team's too far away. Right? Once again, it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the Cowboys are telling us about their operation. Okay? What are they telling us? Picks don't matter. Prospect projects, don't matter to a team like the Cowboys that has positioned themselves, that knows, and that is setting themselves up to take it a step further to go and pursue the pinnacle between now and 2028. Screw the 2027 one, screw this year's 2. We want the proven product now. We want the veteran. We want the first team All-Pro Quentin Williams right now. Give him to me. Why? Because we can't measure what's right here, what matters most. We don't know what Jacob Rodriguez is going to be. He puts on a great front. The athletic testing checks out. The film checks out. The character checks out. He speaks the part. He looks the part. He talks the part. He is the part. But how much does he love football? Is his body going to hold up? What's his impact truly going to be like on an NFL field? Okay, I could ask that question from prospect 1 all the way to how many picks are there? 270 what? Who's Mr. Irrelevant? 256, 276, whatever the number is. Don't matter. And then well beyond that into the UDFA pool. Every single one of them. What we think we know matters. It does not matter compared to what we can't predict or foresee and what we're not going to know until the rubber meets the road. And they're 1, 2, 3, 4 years into their careers as a national football talent, as an athlete. Okay, but now, here's the thing. So that where we go more macro. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit, right? Even if we could, I don't want that screen. Let me just get back to this so y'all can still see me. Even if we could predict how they're wired, we don't know when the impact is going to be felt. We don't know when the coming of age is going to happen. It might be 1, 2, 3 years down the line. They're 1 more year before we have to think about picking up that 5th-year option now before they're actually contributing in a meaningful and impactful way. So what does that do for me? For a team that's trying to win now, between now and 2028, that's the end of towards the end of that rookie window when that player may finally be starting to contribute, but by then it's too late. So we want Quentin Williams now. We'll take Rashawn Gary right now. We want Kenny Clark right now. We want Max Crosby right now. We want Jordan Brooks right now. It doesn't matter what we think about Jacob Rodriguez, Josiah Trotter, Anthony Hill Jr., or CJ Allen. Those guys, the likelihood of them ever becoming a one-time All-Pro even is very, 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 very minimal. It's a 50-50 shot that those guys are even going to reach a second contract in round 1. So the odds tell us picks 12 and 20, the Cowboys are going to bust on at least one of them. That's what the odds say. That's what we have to be honest about. That's what we have to think about. That's what we have to consider here. That's what the Cowboys are considering. The reason why they haven't traded for Max Crosby, Jordan Brooks, or any other veteran right now yet is because they don't know how the first 5 picks are going to fall. They don't know for sure if they want to trade with Cleveland or not. We don't know if Cleveland's going to dance with them. But the Cowboys aren't going to pull the trigger even if we did know that, because they don't know who's going to be on the board. Is Caleb Downs actually going to be there at 6, or is he going to go in the top 5? Then that point is moot. Null and void. If he's not available, what are we trading up for? Right? And there's a reason why I'm talking about only one guy that I'm willing to trade up for, because that's the guy that I know for a fact, or at least I think I do, checks the IQ box, the instinct box, better than anybody else in this class. Even over Fernando Mendoza, even over Jeremiah Love, even over any other athlete that you want to mention as the best prospect in your mind. To me, Caleb Downs checks the IQ, the instinct, the character box better than any other prospect in this class. That's why I'm going to trade up for him, because I know that the BrainWorks is going to make sure that his floor is higher than just about anybody else. His transition is more seamless than just about everybody else. That's why. And I think that that's why, like, that's what the Cowboys believe as well. Okay. They're going to trade up to one of 3 spots because the Giants aren't going to let you do it. Right. So let's say you got to get in front of 10, but you also got to stay behind 5 because they're not going to let you get up in front of 5 either. You're paying even more of a premium than you already would. And we're talking about getting rid of 12 and 20. Once again, leveraging 2 darts at an imperfect science, we can't measure what they're going to look like. That doesn't make sense unless you're going to get one guy. But if you stay between 6 and 10, you can go get that one guy without giving up pick 20 as well. Does everybody follow me? You think Sonny Styles is greater than Caleb Downs? Maybe he will be. I can't dispute that yet. Time will tell. Right, but you can't also confidently tell me that is true, what your statement is saying. All I can go by is my personal evaluation, my film study, my homework on the way that the person's brain works. Caleb Downs was a household name doing what he's still going to do in the National Football League, what he know his role is going to be, which is a versatile chess piece as a defensive back, playing box backer, big nickel, okay? Plays a little bit of center field, quarterbacking your defense, kind of a rover, doing a lot of blitzing things from the second level, from the middle of the field. Like, he is who he is, and he has been a finished product, a household name, trusted by somebody by the name of Nick Saban, the godfather of defensive back play, the greatest college football coach of our generation, probably of all time. In a factory of NFL talent, as a true freshman, Caleb Downs stands out enough above the rest to give, for Nick Saban, of all people, his stamp of approval as a true freshman. Okay? He was a household name in that factory of NFL talent as a true freshman before anybody outside of Columbus, Ohio knew who Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese were. You follow? So if I'm a scout, if I'm an executive, if I'm a coach in the National Football League, that's what I'm thinking about. And I guarantee you that CP and Shadi, and now in this case, LD, are as well. Subpoena gets it. And once again, Sandman, I'm not mad at you. I'm not saying you're wrong. You might be right. But you can't prove that to me right now. All I can go off of is what I know to be true about the player. And what I know to be true about the player is one of these guys on your list here has been doing his role and excelling at it for 3 years. The other guy is 18 months into a position switch. Okay, so that just for me personally, stylistically, I would have those 2 guys flipped. And I believe that the Cowboys would as well. We'll see. And once again, I also believe that because linebacker, as empty, null, and void as it is on the Cowboys roster right now, as scary as it is, as treacherous as we should all be about it, it's still the easiest position to fill out after the draft, before, during, or after. I personally think. The linebacker that can come in and succeed in this system, which once again, this is the discussion that Okoye and I had about a week and a half ago about what this Marcus Dixon front mixed with the CP structure of the entire defense and his philosophies just coming from the Vic Fangio tree. There's going to be a lot more one-on-one matchups, which means that there's going to be more space for linebackers to roam freely. Okay. And so, from that perspective, in theory, that position, you don't need a world beater there to have significant impact, because a lot of it depends on, it's similar to the running back position on the other side of the football. It's a very, it's more of a dependent variable relative to that of other positions, like say outside corner or edge, where it's hand-to-hand, skill-to-skill combat, one-on-one, every single snap. A linebacker can't really do his job if there's, like the Cowboys know all too well, if there's Jordan Phillips and Mozzie Smith getting blown 10 yards off the football. And they're getting dumped into their lap. So they're not only having to fight opposing offensive linemen that are climbing to the second level, they're trying to dodge the rear ends of their own defensive linemen that are getting brushed back into the second level. Right. So in theory, we'll have that conversation again. Okoye and I were actually supposed to go live together today, but his dog had it's litter. 10 puppies, I think, was born last night. So he's got his hands full, quite literally. Guys, let me take a 5-second, or let's call it a 1-minute restroom break, and I'll be right back. We'll pick up this discussion where we left off. I have to forgive the setup. It's still not set up yet, but we did. I'm happy to say, as I get back to the super chat over here, I haven't forgot about you. Where is it at? Right here from Star. As you guys know, your support here it's not unnoticed. It's never lost on me. And it's always going towards furthering this operation. Okay. As you know, as well as you may or may not know, I guess I should say, is the course on the salary cap that I'm excited to continue to expand and broaden and deepen my knowledge on, so that I can more creatively convey the honest, objective truth about the salary cap and team building, and think even more along the lines of an executive, a true general manager in the National Football League. That course that we spent a good, healthy chunk of change on was supposed to begin on Tuesday night, but it got postponed and pushed back to May 11th because, lo and behold, the instructor that was supposed to teach the course backed out last minute. So they're looking for a replacement there. Not sure exactly what's going to happen. We're in a bit of a limbo phase. It's kind of in flux, but point being, your support goes further than you may think that it does. And so the next element is adding a camera that's going to take this production to an even further level. It's going to take it beyond 1080p. We'll say I just ordered what I've been looking at for a long time, and I'm proud to finally say it's going to be mine here in about, hopefully, 24 to 48 hours, whenever it comes in the mail. But a Sony FX30 cinema camera that's going to bring us up to 4K now, so y'all can see how, even in better detail, how ugly I am. Big ugly mug over here, big doofus behind the camera, but it's gonna, once again, it's enhancing the production and giving you guys a much better product because you deserve it. So I appreciate you guys. Still trying to understand the financial part of this with Pickens. Steven said it would be very hard to pay 2 wide receivers. Steven's full of crap. Full of crap. Great question, by the way. This is, once again, so this right here. I mean, questions like these are what I freaking live for, just so you know. So what I already know about this, what's inside this book, and what I'm going to continue to learn in even deeper levels of, what Steven doesn't want me to know, what he doesn't like me saying to you, is the things that I pride myself in saying on this platform, which is, let me get this joke. It's not conspiracy, but you know, I always just kind of like think along the villainous lines when I'm having these conversations, and it's because cap hell doesn't exist. Okay. What Stephen Jones doesn't want you to know is that George Pickens is actually cheaper on an extension in years 1 and 2 than he would be this year and or next year playing under the franchise tag. Accounting 101. Right here. Salary cap. It's a hard team building restriction in the interim if you allow it to be. But cap hell and the conventional wisdom that it's often spoke about in, nah, it's fake. It does not exist, once again. Don't be fooled by that stuff, man. The other thing, so let me finish this so I can pull it off the screen. I have my big ugly mug on here twice. Big doofus with a fake mustache on.
Still accrue a season and then thereby be a free agent in 2027. Here's the problem with that. You really think George Pickens is forfeit twice as much money as he made last year over the course of his rookie contract in the first 10 weeks of this year? He's going to just fork over $11 million and flush it down the toilet? You really think that? I don't think that.
So,
and he's just going to end up in the same exact situation.
Before we went off on a 15-minute tangent there, the 10-week thing is significant because that is the technical cutoff for when George Pickens would thereby, in theory, not be qualified as a restricted free agent the following year. So, like, if he misses, say, 10 or like 11 weeks, if he sits out the first 10 games into week 11, then he's no longer, like, he would have to play from week 11 on to be considered and classified as a unrestricted free agent next year. But that also doesn't eliminate the reality that if he were to sit out that many games and really take this thing, like as far as the chess match between the Cowboys and their negotiation, taking it to that extent, he's forking over $11 million because that's how much money he would forfeit from game checks that this $27.3 million non-exclusive franchise tag value is about to pay him. So here's why that's significant. Okay, $11 million. You might think, oh well, he's still going to take home, whatever 27.2 minus 11 is. Okay, so about $15-16 million. That's still a lot of money. Yes, but listen. So go Google George Pickens over the cap. Okay. You know how much money George Pickens signed for his rookie salary, like when the Steelers drafted him? You know what his signing bonus was? His total guarantees between 2022 and 2025? I'll show you right here. It's on your screen now for those of you that are driving or otherwise not able to pay attention. Look at those numbers for a second and tell me if a player that was taken in the second round would be willing to forfeit to prove a point. And this is even superseding what we know to be true about how much he loves football. Heard it from the horse's mouth. We've heard it from everybody else around the horse that knows the horse well enough to speak on it. People inside that building, some of the most important figures in that building, the head coach, the guy who's probably going to be a head coach next year, who's currently the head coach's accomplice in the run game coordinator, the mastermind Clayton Adams in his own right, the quarterback, by the way, that this whole operation, this go for it window began with back in 2024 alongside CeeDee Lamb when they got their extensions. And everybody else who's been interviewed that has credentials inside that building. George Pickens loves football. It's all he wants to do. The guy signed a 4-year contract with the Steelers that was worth a maximum of $6.7 million over the course of 4 years. That's about, if you do the math, right? That's like less than $2 million per year. That's $1.7 million on average over the life of his rookie deal. You think he's going to forfeit that same amount of money 11 times? So the average annual salary that he took home in his first 4 seasons playing football. So in 12 months, he makes $1.7 million. With this new contract, this non-exclusive franchise tag value at $27.2 fully guaranteed $1 million, He's going to forfeit his first 4-year average annual salary 11 times in a row in just 11 weeks. You really think that's going to happen? And that's before we even consider and bring into the equation what we also know that's the cherry on top. It's the great equalizer. This dude doesn't want to sit out. He likes football more than he likes money. Or to put it differently, he likes football more than the difference of, say, a couple $1 million perceived value APY, which is fanfare and honestly agent speak. I'm going to miss 11 games of what I believe to be the best opportunity for me to compete, put up numbers, earn generational wealth because I'm playing with a real quarterback now for the first time in my career. The peak of my powers, like entering my prime after a record season for myself, an all-pro caliber season, mind you. And I'm going to sit out 11 weeks at the peak of my powers, where I love being with a real quarterback alongside another alpha dog superstar, a championship caliber offense with a defense that thinks it's ready to go for it right now, as they proved to us by going and trading for Quinnen Williams. They would have held on to those assets if they were hitting the reset button, but they did not. They wouldn't have been in on the Max Crosby sweepstakes if they didn't feel like that they were in on this win it window, but they were. They wouldn't be talking about Jordan Brooks. We wouldn't have the Miami Herald from the Dolphins side of things also confirming the Cowboys' interest in Jordan Brooks if this were not true. George Pickens wants to be here. The players can't stop talking about how much fun they have playing for Shoddy. And that doesn't mean anything to a lot of you, but it should, especially relative to the recent alternative. Shoddy cares enough about these guys. It's not just that he's a player's coach, it's that he gets to know them. It's not having fun on Shoddy's account. It's we're having fun because we're playing for a guy that truly cares for us. And he proves it with his actions time and time again. We've written about it here, athlonsports.com back at the time. We've talked about it here on every social media platform that I have access to and contribute to, and especially this community right here on YouTube. Soon to be 10,000, thanks to the support of you guys that is unwavering. You guys know all these things. But it's important to reemphasize because that's how strongly we believe in it. Why in the world would George Pickens veto his average annual salary over the first 4 years of his career almost 10 times over just to prove a point? What point is he proving? The only thing he's proving is that he just lost $11 million, fully guaranteed, gone. I went dumpster diving 2 weeks ago after $7,300 that was accidentally thrown away in an envelope and ended up in a Denton landfill from Frontier Waste Management. $7,300, and I'm in a hazmat suit with a mask on with like rubber gloves and boots up to my knees, literally diving through mountains of waterlogged trash to try to find $7,300 cash that mistakenly got thrown away. Tragic. But some guy, just because he's got this perception from 4 quarterbacks that couldn't get him the football enough, and in a division where it's difficult to do so anyway, it's more of a rugged, blue-collar, rough and tumble ball control type of football up there in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go and put record numbers. I'm going to finally get to showcase my talents on the world stage, and then I'm just going to sit out the first 11 years of the ensuing season over the difference of $2 million APY. Think about it logically. That makes no sense. Okay, now turn the page. Why is this Cowboys team with that all-pro talent intentionally trading him away to get worse? Why do they have to? As far as they're concerned, they still own his rights for 2 more years. That's 2 more years into the win-it window that they're already building for anyway. Why are they getting rid of a guy who the league says is one of the 4 or 5 best receivers statistically last year, an all-pro? Call it a top 8 receiver. They got 2 of them. why is this team getting rid of that guy, especially after Christian Parker, the golden boy of defensive coordination, one of the most sought after pieces of, like, as a young head coach and a young up and coming soon to be head coach. And we can say those things even before he ever calls his first play as a defensive coordinator, because look at what Eagles brass, Eagles media, Eagles fans, and Eagles first team all pro players say about him. Everybody says the same thing. You should pay attention to that. If even the worst fans, as far as like their ruggedness, their rough around the edges, their outspoken nature, their passion, especially as a result of their recent success. But that city, the way that those people carry and conduct themselves, it's a different animal out there in Philadelphia now. But when they don't have a bad thing to say about the guy it's coming to coach their rival now, when they're all like, damn, man, Dallas got him one. Dang, as much as I want to hate on that, as much as I want to poo-poo on the Cowgirls, I can't say anything bad about them. They got him one. I can't stand Dallas. I hate the Cowboys. The most fraudulent franchise, like the most relevant team for the last 30 years. Bunch of sissies. But dang, that Christian Parker. That dude's the truth out there now. Quinyon Mitchell will tell you. Reed Blankenship will tell you. Cooper DeJean will tell you. Lane Johnson will tell you. Eagles fans will tell you. We should pay attention to those things. We are paying attention to those things. We do pay attention to those things. So make sure I'm not missing any questions over here. We got Subpoena up in here. What's up, Lando and Cowboys Nation? How's everybody doing? Hashtag Max to Dallas. I'm with it. Hey, listen, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have nothing to indicate that that's going to be the case other than my own logic and reason, which suggests Cowboys are in. They have the best offer all the way up until almost the finish line, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Ravens swoop in and offer 2 first-round picks. That's the one place. That's the final step. That's the line in the sand the Cowboys weren't willing to cross. The Ravens crossed it. Okay, so the Cowboys are right there though. Man, they first-round pick, second-round pick, maybe a player. Still kind of hit or miss up in the air regarding what the exact compensation was, but we know it was right there. Okay. Call it a first and a second. Ravens made it 2-1s. But the Cowboys were right there. They almost got it across the finish line. But then 4 days later, fabricated question marks, cold feet. Ravens gonna Raven. They like Trey Hendrickson, potentially. They're trying to get both of those guys or whatever, They back out. And all of a sudden, 4 days later, just 4 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the time between draft week beginning this week and draft day now, that many days. 4. All of a sudden, it's sunshine, roses, rainbows, and kumbayas with Max Crosby and the Raiders. All of a sudden, it's, we're good. Cowboys are out, even though we don't know what the new price is, because now every other team, the market's dried up because everybody else went and got their bookend edge, the guy that they were after. Boye Mafe is gone, right? Trey Hendrickson's gone. Okay? The list goes on. You name it. Any team that was big game hunting at that position, they got the kill, except for one. Cowboys brought in Rashawn Gary, but it's a much different skill set. It doesn't really bring a ton to the table, like as far as the prowess and the nuance as a rusher. But what do both of those guys have in common? They're bookend run-stopping edges. Max Crosby is, in my opinion, the best in the sport at both of those things. Myles Garrett's going to be the more premier pass rusher. Maybe Micah Parsons has a slight tick above as a pass rusher in that regard, but Max Crosby in the run game is right up there with Myles and well ahead of Micah. Okay, there's, Will Anderson is in the conversation. TJ Watt's in the conversation when he's healthy, of course. And there's a couple others. But, I mean, that's it, man. That's the pinnacle of the position. But now all of a sudden, it's just like nothing ever happened. Like, we're just going to pretend like there's no interest and we're going to pretend like everything was good like 4 days ago beforehand. Like all of a sudden, Max loves it there again, even though he was pissed off and told us how much he resented the fact that they made him sit out so they could go and tank for Fernando Mendoza. All of a sudden, we're good. Think about it logically, guys. Just saying. I see a lot of we need to get downs period up in here, like a lot of down support, as there should be. Not surprised by that whatsoever. Get CP Downs to pair him with Jalen Thompson. Man, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? LA Dot says, Lando, keep holding down our community. You keep the nation going when it's no football being played. I appreciate you, man. Not just me, but I'm glad to be considered in the mix. I really, really, truly value that opinion, and I appreciate you being here. Max Crosby, be on him like, wow, that's crazy. Hey, too soon? That's funny because I have two projects that I'm very passionate about where I directly disputed a report that Diana Rossini said, and both I'm 2-0 against Diana. Dirty D. You know why?
I am inevitable.
And I realize that drop can come off as self-serving to anybody who's unfamiliar with the work that I do here, but it really is more so just my, like, anytime you hear this,
I am inevitable.
just know that that's my confidence stemming from the discipline and the due diligence and the research that I put in, the time and the effort that I put on. I really am not going to be on here, and I won't break eye contact. Here's some more of that sports psychology for you. I'm not going to be on here saying anything passionately that I didn't like put the time in, the work to truly study and to convey to you creatively with the confidence that I'm like, you guys, y'all know how I am. I speak passionately, frequently, and there's a reason for that. It's because I get very, very deeply invested into these topics. And if I'm saying it, just think about how much I believe it. Okay, so it's just simply stemming from the discipline that I know that I'm going to continue to put in to give you guys the truth about your teams or about sports in general that I know that you deserve. Because I am you, I was you, and I recognize the void in the market where teams, or I guess mainstream media, okay, people with the most power, the biggest platforms, the most money, they don't have the experience that I have as an athlete in the pro ranks. It doesn't matter what sport I played. I understand how the athlete thinks. I know I've been inside the mind of the athlete because I was one. But also you as a fan, I was you first before I became the athlete. And I recognized once I became the athlete how much we missed the mark from mainstream media or otherwise. People don't understand the human element of sport the way that they need to. They don't dig into the weeds to the level at which that they need to. They're not in it deep enough. They're not passionate enough about it to tell you the truth. And oftentimes they're not paid to tell you the truth. They're paid to polarize you. Okay, so that's where we come in. Lenny L, what it do, my boy? My boy. Lando, what you think of this draft? Downs banned at 12, trade our 20th pick for Max Crosby if we're all out on our picks in top 20. Okay, let me run this for you because I see a lot of questions, and I know this is a draft stream, at least it's supposed to be. That Max, that Vrabel Rossini Crosby comment still got me, Bobby. That was well played right there, well timed. Okay, here's my Cowboys most likely thoughts in real form, and you guys can tell me what you think about that from there. we'll let this set the table for that for the next part of this discussion. And then we'll get out of here probably the next 20 or 30 or so minutes. It's hard to hear you in the video. Somebody said it's hard to hear me in the video. Man, it's funny. So how I get like every now and then probably 2 or 3 comments per video that I post about people like complaining about the audio. No, like the audio overlays that I add to all my short form videos. So, I mean, hey, this is a democracy. Like, I'm here for you. If that truly bothers y'all to the level at which, like, say, the 1 out of every 100 or 1,000 or so people that watch it that actually comment and says something, if that bothers y'all to the extent, and like, I really should stop doing that, I will. But it's not, I do that for reasons because I add the suspenseful music to a lot of my work because I'm truly trying to get you to think critically. There's a method to it, but if that actually takes away from the experience, if it doesn't enhance the product, I'll stop. Y'all just got to tell me. Like, you can tell me, be honest with me right now. But I've always perceived it as those people that say those things are much fewer and farther between the people who actually kind of appreciate and enjoy the suspenseful nature of my projects. But y'all just got to be honest with me, man. Whatever you guys think needs to be done, I'll make it happen. But without further ado, here's the draft preferences and most likely outcomes for the Cowboys. And then you guys tell me what you think after this. Nobody really knows exactly what the Cowboys are going to end up doing tomorrow in round 1, but we do have a pretty good idea of the current thought process, and it can get us in the right ballpark. Okay, so if you give me 90 seconds, I'll sum that up for you. Caleb Downs is first priority. If they can get up to either 6, 8, or 9 without giving up pick 20 as well to take Caleb Downs, they'll do it. I do think they also like Sonny Styles, not as much as they like Caleb Downs, and probably not enough, at least I would hope, to trade up to go and get him. There's a fine line between ready to go right now and super high ceiling type dudes that make us slobber whenever we see the athletic testing results at the combine. All right. Max Crosby still going to be in play all the way through the whistle at 20, I personally believe. Jordan Brooks still in play with either a 20 for 30 pick swap situation or 92 in some sort of compensation and kickback next year as well. Place veterans to the side. Okay, we know that that's still in place and we should absolutely be considering and thinking about that. Nickel safeties and nickel corners. Versatile pieces in the defensive back room. Guys that can cover and also fit the run from the slot. I know I talked about that part right there sort of to kick off the show, but just to reemphasize the importance of how strongly I believe in one of those 6 guys that I mentioned right there. Keontae Scott, Dylan Thieneman, Caleb Downs, Traden Stukes, Chris Johnson, or potentially Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. One of those 6 guys are going to be a Cowboy because that's how much that the Cowboys value this position. That's how much it's once again, it's CP's expertise to a degree, but then it's also kind of where the league is headed and how you make yourself more or less Teflon if you have that position solved, if you can be matchup proof in both phases at that spot. Increasingly more valuable positionless football as defensive backs is sort of the blueprint that teams like the Texans and the Seahawks are setting with the Jalen Petries and the Nick Emenwars of the world. They're looking for that prototype. Did y'all see that, by the way? I said Nick Emenwari, and when I added the captions overlaid, whatever the AI software, they put Nicki Minaj. They thought I was saying Nicki Minaj. So like Cowboys are after the Jalen Petries and the Nicki Minaj's of the world, which obviously couldn't be further from the truth. But neither here nor I laughed when I saw that, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but some stuff like that, man, it's like I always miss something, whether that be an ill-timed picture to support, like supportive context with a picture, or an audio drop that's supposed to correspond with a picture, or I can't, something is misspelled. Like there's always 1 or 2 little errors that I make before I end up posting. It's just because I guess I don't have the time or the bandwidth to truly sit there and sift through every potential mistake or adjustment that needs to be made. But sometimes I look back at it and I just laugh. I keep rolling with the punches, man.
Keontae Scott, Caleb Downs, Traden Stukes, Chris Johnson, and probably some Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. One of those guys is going to be a Dallas Cowboy. I personally believe that is their biggest priority. If they can't trade up to go and get Caleb Downs, then I do think that they'll be fine sticking and picking either Mansour Delane or Ruben Bain Jr. at 12, unless somebody knocks their socks off with a trade back opportunity.
So right there, they're either going to trade up to 6, 8, or 9, right in between the two Giants picks. I don't know if I conveyed that accurately enough earlier, but that's the sweet spot between getting in between the Giants without also giving up 20. Right, so you're having probably some sort of kickback. You're getting another compensation back in round 2 if you could trade up. Like it's not a 2-for-1 trade, if that makes sense. Okay, so trading up to 6, 8, or 9 to get Caleb Downs. If they can't do that, they obviously hope and pray that he falls to 12. If that doesn't happen, I do think they'll be happy sticking and picking at 12 with either Ruben Bain Jr. or Mansour Delane. If that's not the case, or unless they get their socks knocked off by a trade back opportunity by somebody who does value, say, Ruben Bain or Mansour Delane more so than they do. But I think there is a point of diminished returns with how far you move back because, like, once again, sticking and picking makes a lot of sense most of the time because you're either overpaying and over-evaluating your ability to accurately assess what's between the ears, and you're overpaying for an imperfect and unproven product, right? A prospect project. Or you're trading away from a better player. I don't really like doing either of those. So you got to be very, very careful here. That's why I always say anybody saying definitively, yes, trade up, or definitively, yes, trade back, you're probably wrong because just saying that by default, you're not factoring in and valuing enough of the context that would actually make sense. And that would be a wise team building decision. Okay. I know. I think you guys understand that. So we'll keep this going.
Even that happens. Okay, so if they trade back or make the trade with Cleveland, then players at the linebacker position come into play. Guys like, say, Josiah Trotter, Anthony Hill Jr., Jacob Rodriguez, if he lasts that long, you name it. The edges in play at 20, I believe, there's only 2. And not Keldrick Falk isn't one of them. Malachi Lawrence and Akeem Mesidor. Maybe one other guy that's kind of lesser discussed.
Real quickly, too, I do think that of the commonly discussed linebackers in the mix, say Jacob Rodriguez, CJ Allen, Anthony Hill Jr., Josiah Trotter, Jake Golday, even guys like that, I think it might shock some people, but Jacob Rodriguez is the one in that bunch that I think I would feel the best about. Closely behind him is CJ Allen. But I give Jacob Rodriguez the slight advantage from his athleticism and the ability to impact to an even larger degree the coverage elements of the linebacker position. But the brain works, the IQ, the physicality, all 3 of those boxes are checked by CJ Allen and Jacob Rodriguez. I just think that his skill set would be taken at 20 before CJ Allen, because of the athleticism that is also parallel and sort of the cherry on top to the other 3 instinctual and physical and, the captain caliber nature of their character qualities that those two particular guys possess. But me, Jacob Rodriguez checks all 3 of those boxes and then also adds the element of athleticism to a slightly enhanced degree to that of CJ Allen. So I think, and if they're not trading back, I think the one guy that they will, that at that position, off-ball backer, consider more so than any other is Jacob Rodriguez, but we'll see. Could be wrong there.
Right now. But that right there is like the most likely outcomes for the Cowboys as far as their preferences in that exact order.
So that's about it right there. You guys tell me where you think, where you're at on that, if you agree, disagree, or want any further clarification on any of the above. I'm a big fan of Trotter, man. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. So it seems like most of y'all in here kind of already agreeing where my head was initially about the people that have negative feedback to the music, we'll say, the edits and stuff like that. They're much fewer and farther between. I think most people kind of do appreciate the added touch there. So I always like getting feedback from y'all, though, because otherwise I don't know. What sounds good and makes sense to me doesn't always make sense to y'all. So once again, this is a collaborative effort here. This is a community that I value, and obviously I care about your opinion and I'll always respect it and ask for it greatly. Yeah, because of what I believe, I mean, what we know about Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark, but then also what they've got in there, like supplementing, especially on early downs, guys. Jonathan Bullard, I'm really excited about. He's not going to be a guy that's going to flash anything in the pass rush department at all. So don't sit here and let me like even get you in a water carrying or cowboy Kool-Aid mindset about, oh, this under the radar addition is a game changer. No, that's not what I'm saying. But as a depth piece, if Jonathan Bullard is your rotational piece behind Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark on early down, and that's a first tackle on, in my opinion, against the Cowboys' first and second guys before the new wave of, say, Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams came in here. So the last 5 years of interior defensive linemen, Cowboys now their third depth piece is a better run player than their first and their second pieces were over the last half decade. That's what I'm saying about Jonathan Bullard. And we should be excited about that, especially once we know, once again, where the league is headed. Offense is getting big again. It's even more important than it otherwise was. Golday is a crazy prospect. Admittedly, I don't know enough about like the character, the way that he's wired. That's one of the few guys. Like, so I haven't studied Traden Stukes, like the psychology of Traden Stukes, Chris Johnson, or Jake Golday, and then Malachi Lawrence. I don't know enough about. I know enough about the athlete and the player. I don't know enough about right here, but I'm just trusting people who have recently mocked him. Like, so it's like my opinion of the player matches what, say, the recent expertise from Cowboys insiders like Nick Harris and Don Machota both listed Malachi Lawrence as in play for the Cowboys at 20. So that to me, like, they kind of saved me the homework when I'm watching the player and I'm thinking, okay, yes, he checks like the fit, the athleticism, the strength at the point of attack, and then also a little bit of a nuanced pass rush bag, more so than that of Keldrick Falk. I see that from Malachi Lawrence, albeit smaller school, but to see Machota and Nick Harris sign off on him being in play at 20, that means that they're getting intel that the Cowboys also check they say that Malachi Lawrence checks the character box as well. So I'm trusting that, just to be clear. But Golday is another one of those guys that I don't know for sure how much they love him. I know how much I like the prospect. I know how much money he made himself at the combine. I know enough about the athlete. I watched him run and thump and do a lot of things in coverage. He's clearly, I mean, he's a thoroughbred. Like, but what's he like right here? I don't know enough about to speak on, so I'm not going to speak on it. Downs and Rodriguez were the first two guys that I said made the most sense for the Cowboys as far as checking IQ, instincts, captain caliber players, and then also difference makers, being well-rounded in both phases of defense, and meaning run and pass. Like, those two guys check the boxes better than anybody else. That's my thought process. So I agree with that, KZ Cowboy. DeMonte KZ, be crazy. What else we got, man? I mean, anybody, where are you guys at on Akeem Mesidor? When I say he's in play at 20, does that resonate? Like, does that take you back, or do you pump your fists? Like, are you happy to hear me say that? Like, I know there's a mixed reviews on him, and I've got some passionate takes. So I want to know what you guys think about Akeem Mesidor. Personally, for me, I think he is and should be in play at 20. I don't know if they'll take him, but the age is not a factor for me because, once again, the window. Ready-made pass rush, elite level motor, plays much like his counterpart over there, Ruben Bain, the run every bit as physically and as intensely as he plays the pass, and they're just everywhere. I mean, just violent, strong. You see a nuanced bag as a rusher. I mean, And then, so once again, taking it a step further, studying these guys deeper psychologically to hear Ruben Bain list Akeem Mesidor as his mentor on and off the field. That was like, all right, what more is there to be said? What more questions do I have to ask? If Ruben Bain stamps, hey, this is the guy that's showing me the way off the field and on the field, like, what else is there to know about? You guys tell me. Interesting. So Herman, like, I know a lot of people think that way, but for me, so my pushback would be, so if he's a win now guy and he helps you and he's instantly the best pass rusher on the roster, then why do we care about what's going to happen 5 years down the road? You know what I'm saying? Like, once again, I'm not mad at you. Like, I'm asking the question because I don't know that I'm right. I'm just telling you how I personally feel. Why do I care if he's going to be 30 when it's time to re-up? If he's going to help me win in the window that matters most, which is right now in the next 3 to 4 years, right? You see what I'm saying? Strong against teenagers. That's funny. That's funny because there's a lot of grown men in college football as a result of COVID, like for the same reasons as Akeem Mesidor is old. The guys that he played against, and I don't know for sure. I'd have to go back and look, like every bookend tackle that he lined up against on both sides for every team that Miami played this year. I'd have to go and look, but I'd venture to say that most of them weren't teenagers. No. You don't think he's a more nuanced rusher than Rashawn Gary? He's not going to be better against the run than Rashawn Gary because that's a grown man in that regard. But I do think he brings more to the table as a rusher than Rashawn Gary does, personally. And I like Rashawn Gary. I think there's more to his game. Once again, Okoye and I kind of collaborated on this project already. He's undersold. Big time. And there's reasons for that, actually. So I actually kind of like that you're saying that. But even if it's equal, why am I saying no to the guy that's going to be equal to or surpass what the Cowboys currently possess as a rusher just because of one number, which is his age? But if the age itself is what makes him the consummate professional to where players like Ruben Bain are saying, that's my mentor, why do I care? If he's already come of age and he's like, I know what I'm getting. I don't have to project anything. I don't have to develop anything. I don't have to project my way through crossing my fingers and praying to the heavens that he pans out and helps me. If I know what I'm getting, why do I care how old he is? He's in his prime for the next 5 years. Who cares? Love that. Listen, I think you're getting the rookie wall is real. So you mind elaborating on that for me, KZ? Are you saying that you would, does that mean that you are for or against Mesidor? I'm not sure what you imply with that. Forgive my ignorance on that one. Okay. So Herman, hey, listen, if you can at least give me that, then I ain't got nothing else to say. We agree. And like, I'll literally just do this and salute you and shake your hand because thank you. I don't know what I'm missing. And I try to not bite my tongue, but I try to speak my feelings towards these prospects as carefully and craft my words as carefully as I possibly can, because these are still kids. Like, Keldrick Faulk has done nothing wrong to deserve me saying anything negative about him. He's a fantastic project. The ceiling is the sky with him. The tangible traits are real. And at first I questioned who he was as a football player. Like, what is his football character like? How much does he love it? That type of thing. The reviews are glowing. I've educated myself on his behalf, in that regard. I know how everybody inside the Auburn facility feels about Keldrick Falk, but I also know what I think about Keldrick Falk as a rusher. Is he maybe, a bookend, like a ready-made NFL run stopper? Perhaps. But he still wouldn't even be the third or even fourth best run stopper on the Cowboys roster. So what are they getting that they don't already have? My answer on Keldrick Falk is nothing. Yet, that doesn't discredit who he is as a prospect. That doesn't discredit who he's going to become as a player. It just means he, with his particular set of skills that he also agrees with me on, by the way, he'll be the first to tell you, and he was the first to say, I'm not a ready-made pass rusher. All I've got is the long arm. Because all I have, he's using his physical traits, the rare length and length and power that he has, the body, the frame. He naturally relies on that, and he uses it. He's not a technician as a rusher. He's not even listed as an edge. He's playing head up on the tackle. He's a 4-eye. He's definitely not an outside linebacker. Right, so we're talking about edges. He doesn't even satisfy that characterization. What are we talking about? To me, Okoye doesn't quite agree, but I used it to also almost sort of get the point across. Like, to me, Keldrick Falk, like, as the starter kit, that's already on the Cowboys roster. They just signed him as a veteran free agent. His name's Jonathan Bullard. That's Keldrick Falk. Does Keldrick Falk play the run well? Yes. Is he strong? Yes. Does he have rare athletic traits? Yes. Does he love football? Yes. But does he bring anything to the table that the Cowboys don't currently already have to the roster? No. No, he doesn't. I don't see fleet feet. He's not an outside linebacker. He's not really supposed to be quick-footed. He told you, and we knew it already because we watched it, but he admitted on a world stage to Rich Eisen, all I got's a long arm, Rich. All I got. I'm not a pass rusher yet. I'm going to become one. We know, we feel like we have a good feel on a handle on who he is as a football player, like as far as how much does he love it? How much of a professional is he? Is he going to love the game enough to study it enough to actually become a technician? Maybe. Seems that as if that's the case. We'll see. But even if we could guarantee for a fact that it is the case, we can be 99% sure, which I kind of am. But when is it going to manifest? Me, you, Keldrick, any coach or team that selects him, they can't guarantee that. They don't know when he's going to cross that line, when he's going to reach that level of, okay, I can line this guy up now. And I can depend upon him to go and pressure the quarterback. I can depend upon him to go and get me 6-7 sacks from the interior. We can accurately project that confidently, and we can say like this is well within the range of outcomes. It's not right now. When will it be? We don't know. So as high of a ceiling, once again, this goes in. He gets thrown into the same category as the Jermod McCoys, the red shirts, the unknowns. There's so many unknowns with Keldrick Falk. You can fall in love with the traits. But ask Taco Charlton about how far those traits got him. Not fair to say Keldrick Falk is Taco Charlton. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that they're the exact same with regards to projectability. Projectability is the fastest way to get yourself in trouble. Mesidor can't start. Maybe. But even still, it's a rotation, right? Even if he doesn't start, he's still going to see 30 to 40 reps per game, 30 to 40 snaps, not necessarily pass rush reps, but defensive line play, it's a rotation, right? You're going to have Jonathan Bullard, Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark all playing somewhere around the 30 snap range. You're going to have Donovan Ezeraku, Sam Williams, Rashawn Gary all playing somewhere around the 40 snap range. Any of these guys that gets added to the mix, regardless of what, like you put you list David Bailey or Arvell Reese out there. Like David Bailey's not playing every down for you. That's not even a guy that can say that he checks the run box. You got to do that first before you earn the right to rush the passer. Why are we talking about David Bailey as some can't miss prospect? All due respect to him. Once again, credit to the prospect. Like he deserves all the accolades for where he's at to put himself in the position to even be considered as the first defensive player off the board. But when we can't say, and I can't, that you're an elite athlete, because he's not, at least not relative to Arvell Reese or other people in the mix in that range. And I also can't like, yeah, you're a dude that I know is going to go in there and play the run and be stout at the point of attack. You're going to set the edge consistently. If I can't say that you're an elite athlete, and I also can't say that you're not one-dimensional, why am I talking about you guys? Here's my, like, it's not really a hot take because I know a lot of people are like split on whether it's going to be Arvell or David. I will be shocked. And it might sound dumb for me to say, and I might look dumb here in about 7 hours, 6.5 hours. But I'll be shocked if David Bailey is the pick for the Jets at 2. That's not a first defensive player off the board player. If you're not an elite athlete and you're not multidimensional, what are they doing? It's Arvell Reese or it's somebody else, but I don't think it's David Bailey. That's just my personal opinion. Reese at 6 would be definitely something that I don't exactly expect, but no edge in the first, unless it's Max Crosby at 20. Quick water break, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Be right back. Excuse me. So close I can almost smell it, man. I can smell it. No Crosby either, huh? Why not? Another passionate draft take that I have that mainstream media routinely gets wrong is Kenyon Sadiq. Everybody's praising his dynamic ability as an athlete, as a field stretcher, as a pass catcher, as a weapon. But like he's going to get drafted and considered once again. And I'm adding credibility here to Iceberg's point. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys will draft him. I'd love it if they did. I'd actually clap for it. But it's because of what I know he also brings as a run blocker. He's a road grader in the run game. It's the dual threat ability that teams are salivating over, not the 4.3 speed at 255 or 60 pounds, whatever he is, and not the vertical ability, not the dynamism as a pass catcher or a weapon. He's going to bring both elements to the table at a level that very few, if any, can ever say that they have done. Like just relative to the strength and the athleticism. Once again, right here is going to be king, but his ability and the commitment to the run game first, paired with the athlete that he is, that is the difference. That's why he's a top 12 prospect. That's why his floor is somewhere in the, late teens. Remember, once again, Rich Eisen at the Combine said that was the name that he heard the most buzz about. It wasn't Arvell Reese. It wasn't Sonny Styles. Maybe after the fact, Sonny Styles' name was, the most buzzworthy guy. But it was Kenyon Sadiq at the Combine. He's going to bring an element to the run game that most tight ends don't. Most tight ends with that athleticism especially don't. Hey, I don't know if that's possible. Ram. So real quick to finish the Kenyon Sadiq point. If Sean McVay selects him, if that's the Rams' weapon, if they're more on the Kenyon Sadiq versatility versus that of, say, a Makai Lemon, who I understand is kind of like the starter kit prototype for, a lot of people are saying he's Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's also very similar to kind of what Puka Nacua brings to the table, especially after the catch. That'll tell us all we need to know. If he's a Los Angeles Ram at the end of round one, we'll see. Ezraku would crack top 10 in this draft. Interesting. It's funny, he turned out to be a better run player than a pass rusher in year one, but there's only one outlet that I know of that was on sports media, YouTube, airwaves, discussing Donovan Ezraku as a run player. And it was this one right here. And I'm proud to say that because we saw the production as a pass rusher, 17.5 sacks last year, one of the best pressure players in the sport at the college level. But not enough people took into account the arm length, also mixed with the upper body power that he showcased at the Combine, which matched that of, say, the most physical lineman in the class, which was Tyler Booker at the time. The same rep range on the bench press, even despite being outweighed by Tyler Booker by about 100 pounds. That would just went to show you the long arms from Donovan Ezraku mixed with the rare upper body power for his size. We already knew he was a good athlete. We already knew he could bend enough to get around that edge. Pretty fluid, moving side to side, back, front to back. Good mover, fluid mover, good hips, long arms, and rare power for his size. Don't be surprised if he's a weapon in the run game. Lo and behold. Perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan. I assume you're talking about Kenyon Sadiq, and I also agree with that. Similar philosophies there. Slightly different approaches last year, though. Remember, the Rams I don't think anybody ran more snaps and lived more in 12 and 13 personnel, and also threw out of 12 and 13 personnel than the Rams did last year. Once again, that's Sean McVay being ahead of the curve on the trends of national football, or the National Football League. Countering the modern defense, which is multiple, hybrid, light, pass coverage, happy. It's ebbs and flows. The pendulum is constantly swinging. Was it 16 and a half sacks? I thought it was 17 and a half. But yes, you don't have to. I'm not disagreeing. I was thinking out loud about where he would be perceived this year. So Text Tech 23 that's in here. If you missed our discussion earlier, trade up 6, 8, or 9 for Caleb Downs. Sit and wait and hope that Caleb Downs gets to 12. Those are priorities 1 and number 2. Or I think that's what they would prefer. Okay, the Cowboys' preferences. If not, they would be more than content selecting at 12 either Reuben Bain Jr. or Mansour Delane, unless somebody knocks their socks off with a trade back opportunity, in which case then we're talking about I think Traden Stukes would be in play. I think Chris Johnson would be in play. I think Dylan Thieneman would be in play. I think potentially Emmanuel McNeil Warren would be in play. Once again, nickel corner and nickel safety, big nickel, priority number 1 for this Cowboys team. Given everything that we know, this is an entire offseason of due diligence, study, all these things. Okay, it leads us to this conclusion, but I'm just trying to summarize for anybody who's late, because I do need to get up out of here. So if they don't stick and pick either Reuben Bain Jr. or Mansour Delane, it'll be because they get their socks knocked off by a trade back opportunity. Okay, and then in that case, that's when the second tier of safeties come into play that we just mentioned, or nickel corners, right? Even Keontae Scott should be considered and not forgotten in that discussion. And then also that's when the linebackers also come into play. But I believe that linebacker of the 3, DB, off-ball backer, and edge, linebacker is going to be the easiest to fill before, which is right now, during, or after the draft, because of what's available, with the depth that's going to be presented to them. I believe even all the way back to 92, but then also the veteran free agents that are out there and the veteran trade assets that we know that the Cowboys are currently linked to. Linebacker is an easy position to solve, especially when you parlay that with Marcus Dixon's fronts that he's going to deploy, with a lot more one-on-one matchups mean more free roaming linebackers. Okay, so it's easier to find difference-making ability at that position. But I do also think that Jacob Rodriguez is the one guy, potentially C.J. Allen, but I think Jacob Rodriguez's athleticism sets him apart where they would consider him at 20 over any other linebacker prospect that would be in that range. But outside of that, I think linebacker is in play only in a trade-down scenario for them. I think they're going to take an edge and a DB, assuming they stick and pick potentially 2 defensive backs. I see a world where that's the case, where the highest graded defensive back or the highest graded player on their board at 20 exceeds that of the 2 edges that I believe would be in play at 20, which are Malachi Lawrence and Akeem Mesidor. I could see there being, say, an Avion Terrell, Colton Hood, Traden Stukes, Chris Johnson, even at 20, though the Cowboys having those players rated slightly above because of Christian Parker's expertise, slightly favoring that of the edge position, even though the value would say that like it's makes more sense for them if they're even close in a vacuum, take the edge position because it's more valuable technically, like as far as the money that you're saving. The league is evolving. Okay. But just understand that the league, what they say about the edge position relative to that of the safety spot or the nickel corner spot, it's wrong. There's no way in the world that the nickel corner position is 3 times less valuable than the outside corner position, because teams are weaponizing their best pass catchers in the slot now more often than ever. Teams are forcing those slot players, those nickel players to fit the runs now more than ever because they're condensing the formation again. You can't take plays off in the slot because you have run fit responsibility. Whereas if you're on the outside, the play runs to the left and you're on the right, you're kind of just chilling, catching your breath, chopping it up with the receiver over there, talking trash, looking over to the sideline, howdy doody, and saying what's up to your former teammates or to your current teammates on it, just the everyday stuff that happens down in and down out. You can take plays off outside. If you can't mix it up in the run game, I don't know if you're heavily considered for this Cowboys team. All right, but the slot cover position, like covering from the slot, is more difficult nowadays because the run fits, but also because it's the best athletes, the best pass catchers being weaponized out of the slot now, which gives them free goes. Okay, you can't press because they're off the ball, and half the time they're getting a head start. So it's a leverage advantage because they're entry and exit motioning at the snap. So you're flat-footed. You're trying to figure out what the heck's going on, which direction they're going. You can't get hands on them. Oh, and by the way, you're navigating traffic all at the same time and making sure that you're not having to fit the run. But there's a lot going on. You can't tell me that Jordan Lewis is 1/3, or his position is 1/3 that of Derek Stingley as far as APYs goes. That's crazy. The league is wrong as far as value goes relative to that of other positions. It's wrong. And we're going to see that those margins come back together. Much like the running back position, it's becoming more valuable again. Why? Because teams are running the football. They're physicaling their way out of these light hybrid, ultra confusing post snap roll and coverage switch defenses that teams and coordinators like Christian Parker are deploying. The pendulum is swinging back in favor of run game, physicality, condensed formation. Right? It's a constantly evolving chess match. Delane, I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you right now, double dipping at DB is a possibility. I don't believe that for a second. That Pickens stuff, man, y'all can miss me with that. I'm sorry. I've already said enough about it. I don't want to waste any more time, spend any more time on it, because I think a lot of you agree with me here. I don't want to bog down the discussion. But they still have 2 more years of control if they want it. They don't have to trade him right now. Okay? But even if they did, like if they didn't have 2 more years of control, I mean, even still, why would I intentionally get worse? Why would I trade what I know is a difference-making, all-pro caliber receiver? Christian Parker just walked into the building earlier before he was hired and said, "Hey, Jerry, Steven, you guys in there? Can you hear me? Shotty, you listening? Do you know how much you sleep we lost trying to think about how in the world we're going to prepare to cover you? You know how difficult you are to plan for? When we have to stay in a 2-high shell because we can't leave either of our outside corners isolated one-on-one against either of your 2 top weapons. Why would I intentionally get worse if I don't have to? The salary cap is not, money is never a problem. Once again, I still have 2 years of control. I have all the leverage if I'm the Cowboys versus that of David Mulligetta and George Pickens. No matter what, I can tag him twice. He's going to play for an average of $31 million over the next 2 years, fully guaranteed. Franchise tag, exclusive or non, doesn't matter. But that's 2 extra years of keeping guys like Christian Parker up at night, forcing teams into a 2-high shell, which is a much better opportunity, a window to run physically and powerfully into. It plays into the favor of my power and pad level running back, Javonte Williams, behind my forklifting, people-moving, powerful trio of interior offensive linemen. I am Teflon. If I'm built physically to control the ball and win north and south, if I can play in a phone booth and have success, but I'm also forcing you to stay out of loading the box because of my 2 weapons, it gives me a numbers advantage. I have outs. I have answers to any test that you want to put on the table, put on the field. You can't beat me. Because if you load the box, I'm going over the top to one of my 2 all-pro receivers. If you sag off, I'm power and pad leveling my way inside. All I got to do is cross the 50-yard line, and I'm in range now with my $7 million kicker, minimum. But I've got an MVP caliber quarterback as well. That's going to be, as long as he's healthy, with or without CeeDee Lamb, with or without George Pickens, whatever receiver combo you want to put in there, whatever tackle combination you want to put in there, we're going to be a number 1 offense. And if not, we're going to be close. And close to a number 1 offense is plenty good enough. All I got to do is get my defense up to speed. We just pick up a little bit of the slack, trim a little bit of the fat. Get me from worst in the league to middle of the pack and watch what happens. Right. We can't have nothing nice. Why we got to trade George Pickens? Just because, once again, we're falling victim to the draft cycle. We're overvaluing what we don't know, what we can't project. what we cannot predict, what we can't really truly see or accurately measure. Why? Yeah. Imagine taking the wide receiver at 12. Yeah, that's, I mean, once again, that's part of the trade back scenario for me. You got to make teams believe that you want to take the player. And it also helps to make teams believe that if they also understand, or at least you're presenting the fact that you have a contract dispute with one of your receivers, that makes that even more palatable. If you're trying to trade out of 12 for a team to come up and get what is now perceived all of a sudden out of nowhere to be a blue chip talent receiver like Jordan Tyson, you got to make them think that. The best way to make them think it is to leak that you're interested to the media, but mainstream media can run with it because anything with the Cowboys name or label next to it is going to sell, right? But then also, too, I have George Pickens in my back pocket, and I'm just going to conveniently say the day before the draft, oh, yeah, by the way, I think the Cowboys have decided that we're going to make him play on the franchise tag. Okay, Steven, we're forgetting so much context, but like let's just play devil's advocate for a second. Like I mentioned yesterday, the first video that I showed you from yesterday's reel, George Pickens goes to David Mulligetta. He says, hey, David, I know you like to play hardball. I know you have a business to run. I know you have clientele to convey to future clientele, right? You have a certain set of obligations to uphold, right? To get the best contract possible, to keep furthering the envelope, pushing the envelope forward for the NFLPA, for contracts, for money, for the players. But guess what? David Mulligetta works for George Pickens, not the other way around. Remember what happened with T. Higgins? Yeah, I said that yesterday because I meant it. George Pickens is in control. So whether Stephen Jones wants to say he's going to play under the tag or not, he knows full well he ain't fooling me. He shouldn't be fooling you, but that's why I'm here. He can say what he wants, but if George Pickens convinces David Mulligetta or changes his agent and gets the new agent to go to Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and say, hey, we're good. Like, this is life-changing money. We'll play for $31 million or so, which is right there on par with the Garrett Wilsons and the DK Metcalfs of the world. We'll play for 31 over the next 4 as opposed to 31 over the next 2. That's still guaranteed money, and that's still, we're 5Xing my rookie salary each of the next 5 years. If George Pickens goes and makes that his priority, he likes it here. He's playing with a real quarterback for the first time in his career. It's in Dallas where the marketability is as great and as everywhere else. You're at the prime of your powers. You're playing indoors. What more could you ask for? Your best friend is now CeeDee Lamb. You're inseparable. You're traveling. You're vacationing together all over the world in the offseason. You're best friends. Why would he want to go anywhere else? Once again, proving a point over the difference of what would amount to maybe 2, like fanfare and agent speak of $2 million APY, which doesn't even really mean anything anyway. It's about the guaranteed money anyway. What does APY mean to me if I'm going to forfeit $11 million to prove a point that I don't even want to prove? To uphold some agent's status and salary as this hard-nosed dude that everybody fears from the owners and general manager side of things, but respects from the player side of things, like he's going to maximize my value. Are we too short-sighted to go back and look what just happened 2 days ago with Brandon Aubrey when he told his agent, hey, listen, I'm ready to get this done. I like it here. I want to be here. My family is here. I'm kicking inside, even if there aren't curtains at 3:05 in the primetime window in the afternoon. I'm playing for the Cowboys, where I'm a household name, and I'm setting myself up well beyond my playing years. I'm also the highest paid kicker in football. Why do I need 10 when I'm the highest paid and I'm comfortable here? This is where I want to be. Todd France, back off. You work for me, not the other way around. Why are we forgetting that? Why do I have to trade George Pickens just because it's draft season? Nobody here knows enough about any of these prospects, even me stamping my approval saying, yes, I would forfeit what I know to be true about trading up. I would defy the odds. I would defy what I know to be is like my truth, my wisdom. Don't trade up. I would still do it for Caleb Downs. But Why would I overvalue my ability to do what nobody can accurately do? And nobody, over the history of the league in the first round, it's a 50% hit rate. So you're effed 50% of the time anyway. History says one of these Cowboys picks in the first round, 12 and 20, one of those you're going to bust on. Why am I trading my proven product for another prospect project? Intentionally making my team worse. Why? Somebody make it make sense right now. Why? If that's the case, trade Quinnen Williams, trade CeeDee Lamb, trade Dak, just start over. If I'm trading George Pickens, trade everybody. You might say, well, okay, Lando, but you just told us that, like, no matter, as long as Dak's healthy, they're a number one offense. Yes, that's true. Okay, sure. But now, okay, George Pickens gets traded, right? We're good. We got CD. We like Ryan Flournoy as our 2. Maybe we'll draft a guy to take the top off to help, ease some of the pain for CeeDee Lamb. But guess what? CeeDee Lamb sprains his ankle. Or worse. Knock on wood. God forbid. Heaven forbid. Alpha dog goes down. Now what? You traded your proven product, your all pro, for another prospect project because you thought you overvalued, you fell prisoner to the draft moment. You overvalued your ability to go and accurately evaluate what's between the ears, which nobody can do at a rate that's better than 50%, historically speaking. We got all this mountain of evidence to showcase how wrong we often are, but we're going to forego that. We think we're so different. We're so smart. Our stuff don't stink. We're going to trade our proven product just to prove a point, just because his agent whipped us last year and we traded Micah Parsons as a result of it. I'm still butthurt. I'm going to announce the day before the draft just for some perceived leverage against him. He's going to play on the tag. We're forgetting all that context, but I'm going to trade my dude for a prospect project. Okay. But then CeeDee Lamb goes down, God forbid. And now all of a sudden, who's your wide receiver 2 now? Kevontae Turpin? You got a rookie 5th-round draft pick. That's wide receiver 1. Ryan Flournoy, Kevontae Turpin. Is that enough? You feel good about that? Is any team allowing Javonte Williams and the interior trio of forklifters in the middle to just power and pad level their way down the football field now? No, they're loading the box and they're trusting their second corner against your best receiver, and you're shut down. You're screwed. You're done. Now, all of a sudden, guess who's seeing ghosts again? Guess who looks like the flawed quarterback that everybody just projected and manifested because they couldn't run the football accurately in the biggest games and the biggest moments. So guess who got blamed for it? The quarterback that had no surrounding supporting cast in the run game, because their offense, much like their defense with Micah Parsons headlining it, was one-dimensional. And teams could take away what they were good at, and they were screwed. They didn't have a result. They didn't have a pivot point. And we play the blame game because we fall victim to whatever national mainstream media says. We don't watch the film. We don't take into account that over the course of the Cowboys' last 3 most embarrassing playoff losses, they averaged 3.1 yards per carry running the football. That's not good enough. But yeah, let's go ahead and trade George Pickens. Okay, buddy. Good luck to you if that's the case. I mean, if the Cowboys do that, I'm telling you guys right now, it's not a threat. It's just what I know needs to happen. Okay. If the Cowboys trade George Pickens, then I already know I'm well on my way towards just becoming salary cap sports media guy for every team. I'll still always follow the Cowboys. I'll always be a fan, but I won't be sitting here talking about them at the level that I currently am. You guys wouldn't, I would be a fool to continue misleading soon to be 10,000 and hopefully many, 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 many more of you. I'm leading you astray if I'm trying to sell you what should happen, and I'm standing by it even if they defy the odds of what should happen. I'm going to become salary cap guy. If they trade George Pickens, they should trade Dak Prescott too. I'll pivot. And I'm already going to teeter along those lines because that's how strongly I believe in this stuff. Every fan of every team needs to know the truth about this stuff. But if they trade George Pickens, they're not serious about winning. They're not going to. I'll be shocked if they did. But I was also wrong this time last year when I said they weren't trading Micah Parsons either. They ended up doing that. But as we also know, Micah Parsons didn't love football at the same level that George Pickens does. It's a little bit different level there. Okay? And don't take that from me. Take that from people who make a lot more money than me, who have more access inside that building than me. But like, let's just say people that make the richest contract in NFL history money. Ask those people about who loves football more. That stuff matters to this organization, this regime now. Jerry Jones can play the fool or, bring in Bill Clinton, put on a show. The world is his stage, this national charade that he's always playing. Bunch of BS. Drives me crazy. I understand the frustration with that. Trust me, I get it. Pisses me off a little bit. That we can't have a conversation. We can't even so much as have a press conference without delaying the presser and the stage so that we can go and greet a former president. Like, what does that even accomplish? I just thank God for Shadi. But also, I feel for him because even as much of an influence as he's had over the last 18 months, and as much as we've proven that to you, and I think that they're going to continue to prove to us, I'll be lying if I said I didn't have my doubts when I see bull crap like that Jerry pulled yesterday, where he almost stumbled his way off the stage to go and greet a president that he had set up to interrupt that presser. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have, at the very least, feel bad for Shadi and have questions about if his influence is going to be enough to overcome all this crap. He's already sort of inside out at a lot of their recent historical order of operations, but I don't know if it's enough. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know, AJ. Trust me. Like, childproof the corners. Subpoena. Are you C Pina or are you subpoena? Is that like a play on like the legal jargon? Just help me out, just so I know for future reference. Is your last name Pina or is it a play on words? I'm curious. Hey man, listen, honestly, so like here's the thing. It's as much a credit to Jerry as it is an indictment against it, because like I don't care if Jerry is present there or not. Like I don't care if he's focused on football or not, because I know what you guys should know, that he's not pulling the strings. So the team building and football related strings, it's not his operation anymore. He'll always, of course, have like veto approval, right? He'll put the final stamp on anything, but he's not evaluating the NFL free agents. He's not evaluating these draft prospects. All he's doing is listening to everybody else that's doing the work for him from a team building perspective. He's going to sell the tickets. He's going to put the butts in seats. He's going to market the crap out of it. He's going to stage everything involved with the Cowboys. And he's going to country club his way to $15 billion. The world's richest sports franchise valuation. Right? He knows what he's doing. He's a brilliant businessman. But it's just those antics that I worry that people like Shadi, as wired the right way as I believe that they are, Christian Parker, as wired the right way as I believe that he is, how long can they put up with it before they just see like no light at the end of the tunnel anymore? I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. And y'all know me. I'm glass half full guy. I'm optimistic in nature. It's who I am. It's the way God made me. But I have to be objective, have to be honest. And those are the questions that cross my mind when I see crap like that. But we are 2 hours in, y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. C. Pina, I see you, my friend. I got you now from this point forward. I'm locking it in. You cooked on the GP take. I appreciate you, Kim. I may have to go back and pull that one. Not going to lie. Pull and post that as its own little segment. Because once again, I believe that strongly in it. There's no question about it. This is a Stephen Jones operation. You're exactly right about that, AJ Beast. No question. Live stream tonight for the draft. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I know there's going to be so many other people that are going live. It's almost like I'm not sure. I might want to just sit back and take it in with my wife and just sort of enjoy the perceived fruits of my labor a little bit and just sort of unpack. Of course, I'll have like reactionary takes and things like that. Probably be tweeting throughout. I don't know yet if I'm going to live stream or not. I want to be able to enjoy it. And there's a reason actually why I'm not going to be in Frisco tonight is because there's so many people that could potentially spoil each pick for me. I don't want anything to be ruined. I truly want to sit back and just watch, be an observer, like just kind of take it all in and just have like a relaxing evening. And then of course, just we'll react accordingly and things like that. And I'm sure I'll have some pieces put out depending on what happens, especially, but you guys will be hearing from me. I don't know yet if I want to do a live stream or not, but I appreciate you asking. Man, in closing right here, and somebody earlier said, I think it was Sandman too. He said, I just subscribed to all your socials, and I forgot to say thank you at the time. But Sandman, I appreciate you for that, and thank you for the question. Just subscribe to from Text Tech 23. I appreciate you, man. Tell all your friends where to find me, brother. That's how we grow this thing. This is a community-based platform. You guys have influence. You guys drive what I do because I am and I used to be you, right? So I'm here. I'm bridging the gap between diehard fans like yourself and mainstream media that often evades or eludes the truth, right? Where they're paid to polarize us as opposed to telling us the truth, okay? We got to get into the weeds here, and that's what we try to do. The sports below the surface truth for the true fan. The move was, it was okay. Tough, right? 3 small kids. I'd be lying if I told you that I wasn't exhausted to the point that I didn't know were even possible. And like 3 nights in a row, like y'all know my schedule, I work late. So I'm with the kids full time. When they go to sleep, that's when I work. Most nights I'm working from about 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., give or take. But 3 nights in a row, because I was basically working sun up to sundown for 3 straight days, getting everything moved over from the old house to the new place. I was in bed before 10 p.m. and like I think out before 10:30, all 3 of those nights. If it wasn't 3 in a row, it was 2 out of the 3. But I had a 2-hour nap on one of the days in between there. So it's like, literally like me just like I'll sit down on the couch and just doze off, like that type of fatigue, man. Where I'm usually used to more like psychological or creative fatigue. Because I gotta talk, I gotta my own business, right? So I'm constantly networking, I'm constantly being creative and trying to repurpose and post things that I feel need to be said, need to be discussed. I'm always thinking, I'm using my brain. So like I get mentally fatigued more than I get physically fatigued. But like that was physical exhaustion at a level that I can't recall ever being or ever feeling, at least since my post playing days have begun. So it was good. I mean, it's been good to see the new place sort of take shape, and we're still a long way from complete. This is like the makeshift. I just have all my stuff that's going to be in the new room in its corner. We don't have any of the acoustic paneling done yet. There's going to be in the next 6 to 8 days or so right here. There's going to be 2 like cabinets, basically shelves, and then I'll have some floating shelves above to kind of bring the piece all together. It's funny. I was actually watching a little bit of Joel Klatt's breakdown the other day, one of his mock drafts, and his setup, his backdrop is almost exactly what I had sort of constructed in my head, and then got like Chat GPT. Like I took a picture of it and had Chat GPT kind of help me piece together what I want it to look like. I gave it the input and the data points and the pictures of the centerpiece that I had custom made out of copper from this company called Twisted Nail. They were at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. And they custom made and welded my backlit new studio sign for me that you guys will soon see. It's going to be like right up in here. But Joel Klatt's setup, if you want to get an idea of what it's going to look like in here very soon, you go pull up Joel Klatt's YouTube show and you can kind of see that's going to be very similar to what this new setup will look like. I already told you guys in Texas Tech, I see you with the $20 pitch in, man. Thank you. So that like stuff like that right there goes so far to help me that you guys have no idea. But like signing up for this class, $1,500, it is an investment. Like as I told you, I see it as a tax write-off. So that helps, but it's helping me level up, right? The $2,000 camera, I'll just tell you how much it costs. $2,000. Cameras ain't cheap. Nice equipment for what I do now, it's not cheap. There's reasons why I've been putting it off. I've built this platform to almost 10K
100K across all socials with a 1080p camera. It's a disservice. I should have done this a long time ago, but support like this right here from Texas Tech and from who was the other? Star Guardian earlier, and then one other, I think it was Suave, the super chats, and then of course your memberships, those all this stuff, man. It's helping me level this thing up and take it to the next level. I cannot do what I do without you guys. So just know that your support is going much further than you may even realize. But you'll soon hopefully see that in the next 6 to 8 days or so. I plan to have everything set up. The new camera is on its way already. Supposed to be here come Saturday. That was the estimated time of arrival. So really excited to do that and to keep leveling up for y'all. But with that, man, enjoy the rest of the countdown. Enjoy the rest of try to separate from the smoke screens, right? Don't overreact to anything until you see the Cowboys on the clock or whatever trade comes into play when, say, the Browns. Like once the first 5 picks happen, that's when this thing's about to get real. Be on the lookout. 6, 8, 9, trading up for Caleb Downs, potentially Sonny Styles. Once again, my personal opinion, I think it's Caleb Downs. Sticking and picking. If for some reason, some miracle, Caleb Downs gets to 12, okay? If not, sticking and picking either Mansour Delane, Ruben Bain, or trading back if somebody knocks their socks off. And then also, don't discount the veteran trade pieces that have already been closely connected that we had a little bit of a rant about here on the show over the course of the last 2 hours. Okay. Enjoy the show. Thanks for being here. Tell a friend where to find the sports below the surface truth for the true fan, especially about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Lando from the Lando Show, and I'll talk to you guys at some point during the draft, maybe shortly after. But I hope that you guys enjoy it. Remember, prayer changes things, and the war